Live.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Magic Monday. Now, let me make sure that I don't do this again where I got the background going on again. Okay, got it. Got it. All right. Okay. Welcome to Magic Mondays, everyone. And so glad that you are joining us on this long weekend, the May 2-4 weekend. And I've got with me, I'm your host, Neil D'Souza, with my co-host, the not so pretty, but the know-it-all himself, Jason Vaz, in the
Hey,
house.
what's up?
And don't forget the illustrious, the overachiever, Marlon. Yeah,
What's up? What's
man.
up?
Marlon Yee Man, the
Oh
man,
man,
the myth,
Marlon from the
the
hood,
legend.
the legend.
Awesome.
Love it, love it. Well, guys, I hope you guys are having a great time this long weekend. Getting a little bit of R&R in there, maybe.
Hopefully.
Oh yeah. Long weekend, relaxing.
Nice,
I
nice.
definitely made sure I had a 2-4 as you should this weekend, and yeah, really enjoyed myself. Hope you guys. I definitely did a lot of showings as well, but I found some time to balance it.
Nice, nice.
Not so
Marlon,
restful
you
for
up to
me.
anything this weekend?
Hey, I don't know what's up with the government, but they like to stress us out during the long weekend with stress test announcements. So obviously it's been okay, but I've had a lot of client inquiries I had to deal with over the weekend. I'm sure everyone's dealing with those that's in the mortgage business, realtor business. But I don't know why they got to announce it on the May 2-4 weekend. So
Straight to business. Straight to business. Here he is. Okay, all right. Okay, so why don't we just kick that off, because obviously that is major news, right? Well,
yeah.
it's news. I don't know how major it is, but it is definitely news that they're making changes, many amendments to the stress test.
Yeah, I mean, we got a preview from it from OFSI making a proposal to the government, and now the government came out just this, I think it's Friday, saying that they're going to move ahead with this. So there is one slight tweak. Originally, it was only supposed to apply to rental properties, refinance properties, properties over $1 million, or anyone that needed to amortize their mortgage for 30 years. It wasn't supposed to affect people buying with less than 20% or amortizing 25 years.
Okay.
Instead, they said, let's just put the stress test or the new level of stress test against all mortgages. So that means that the stress test or the artificial rate is increasing from 4.79 to 5.25% come June 1st, which means that will decrease your purchasing power, your mortgage amount by about 5%. So, it's a significant amount, but it's not going to affect the majority. It's going to affect a lot of what we call fringe buyers, people who are on the cusp of maxing out what they can qualify for. And yeah, to me, it's just all optics that they're trying to do something. It's not really going to have that big of an effect in cooling off the market. But I'll let Jason chime in. He looks a little bit anxious there. So
Okay, let's just break that down. So they're making changes to the stress test.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, and how much?
4.79 increasing to 5.25.
Okay, great. Well, Jason,
Mind you, that was the rate pre-pandemic levels. So that's the logic here. They're saying, it's not like we've never seen this before.
Yeah.
That was literally the rate before COVID came. So
Yeah. My 2 cents on it is we obviously had advance warning on this. We were chatting about this over a month ago. Any competent realtor has been telling their clients this. Any competent mortgage broker has been telling their clients this. This isn't new. The only thing that was new is that we were under the impression that it was only going to be the uninsured mortgages, those putting 20% down. Nope, they knocked it on the park, applied it to everybody. What does that mean? On average, about 4% loss in purchasing power. Probably going to be enough to cool things down for a bit. Make it cold? No way. I still think we're going to be in a pretty hot market going all through till the end of the year. I may see a little bit of a pullback on multiple bids. I think we'll see people being a little bit more conservative. One of the things also I wanted to add on is that although we've been in probably the hottest market in history, 95% of appraisals are going through. So that's a good thing. It shows that the appraisers are on the same side as the crazy buyers. If this is going to put a damper of 4% on purchasing power, so be it. People are going to have to make some adjustments. It is what it is. But I do wish that the government, I don't like government intervention at all. If they were to intervene, I think there was other areas that they could have done. I think, maybe opening the floodgates on building instead of making a lot of red tape on permits and stuff like that. Adding supply would probably have a much better effect, not necessarily a stronger effect, but a better effect than just making it harder. I feel bad for those first-time home buyers that have just saved up a down payment, now being told, hey, your purchasing power has gone down, because usually it's the buyers that get hit and then they're waiting a couple months for the market to catch up. So
yeah. Marlon, do you have a what's this impact going to be? Do you have a dollar amount? If we're talking about 3-4, if we're talking about 4%, what's that impact going to be when it comes to
it's around 5% of the qualification amount. So I mean, if you qualified for 550, all of a sudden now you're qualifying for 575. Sorry, 475.
Yeah.
Okay.
475. I mean, like I said, it's not a huge impact, but if you're on the fringe, it's going to affect you, right? Jason, it's funny that you actually bring up the whole government intervention thing. Actually, one thing that's not needs to be known to the public, but obviously talking about here, the stress test is usually based on the posted rate from all the banks. The government actually said going forward, they're the ones setting the stress test. So 5.25 is fair, but going forward, it's not going to be controlled by the market anymore. The government's going to be the one setting the stress test. So, if there's one thing to be unhappy about, that's one thing I didn't like about the thing. I mean, the stress test is a good thing. It ensures the longevity of the market. It's here to protect us. But the fact that they've now taken away the stress test being calculated by the free market and saying, hey, we're going to be the ones that decide the stress test in the future, that's a little sketchy going forward.
Well, it's a fugazi. It's not real. Because let's face it, if you're RBC, if you're TD Bank, and say they remove the stress test, say the market where prices are going down, and the government says, we're going to remove the stress test to help fuel the real estate industry, help support real estate prices. Well, let's think about this. If you're RBC or TD and you say, hey, I don't feel comfortable lending, I'm just going to apply it anyway. They can't change that. Correct me if I'm wrong. Before the stress test was a thing, they still had their own stress test, their own internal one that they were working with. So when they first implemented it, I told them it was stupid because I'm like, they're already doing this. This is common practice. They just want to make it official. And it spooked the market. It brought prices down. And now they're trying to do that again.
Yeah, well, they're doing internal stress tests. But I mean, in terms of qualifying GDS and TDS, that didn't affect you, right? So, but they also, you're right, they do stress test their book internally, right? In case the market goes either way, right?
For any of our viewers watching this right now, and you're looking to buy in 2021, you're going to call my buddy Marlon Yee, and you're going to ask about Meridian or Duca. You don't have to worry.
You want to talk about that? Okay.
You don't have to worry about it.
So there are lenders out there with no
exempt. There are workarounds.
Yeah, and that's the beauty with working with brokers. We do work with the credit unions. Jason's right. I mean, we harp on this all the time, but no one seems to ever pay attention. There are the Meridian credit unions, the Ducas, the Alternas. No stress test, slightly higher rate. People get turned off by that, but trust me, you're still going to qualify for 18 to 20% more going with one of the credit unions. Yeah.
So going with some of these different lenders that, obviously not the major 5 banks, but there are other lenders that you're going to be able to and get around this and actually get access to more money when you're out there.
Yeah, there are many, many, many lenders out there. Some of them partially owned and funded by the big banks, funny enough. Others not. But I think people are just too tied to the big banks sometimes and have to realize there are other options out there, many options, quality options. So
here's the thing. I think, stress tests, we can't get away from the government and them being involved for crying out loud. They're involved in the making of the interest rates, right? And then and the stress tests and all of it, all of the different parts, right? That they've got their hands into. I think one of the things to realize is that they're not going to have the type of control that perhaps people think they have. But we won't get into that. Let's move topic. Anything else you guys want to say about the stress test? I mean,
No,
it's gonna lower your buying power.
beaten
That's
the
what we got.
out of that one.
Yeah, I mean, I would just add one thing, like just because you've been declined the bank, like Jason said, contact your trusted mortgage broker. There's lenders out there that there's lenders out there that accept childcare benefits. All of a sudden having a baby is going to be a good thing, or having a new little one on the way may help you qualify for your mortgage. And there's many lenders. Some will only accept childcare benefits under a certain age. Some will accept it at any age. So definitely reach out. There are options out there. Don't give up. Talk to an advisor first and come up with a plan.
Nice. Love it. Okay. All right. I want to shift us over to this is a long weekend. Come on. We got to talk about I want to talk about cottages. We got this thing going on. There are a whole bunch of people, first of all, right now that are out at cottages, and I think this really especially with COVID going on, there are a ton of people that are looking at cottages. So let's talk a little bit about the whole cottage industry and Airbnb and all of this kind of stuff. And because I want to specifically talk today about how people can go about getting an Airbnb, or getting a cottage rather, and being able to Airbnb it. You guys up for that convo?
Oh yeah, we're ready. We are ready.
All right. Who's got a 2 cents? Okay, Marlon, how about you tell us the traditional way that people are acquiring a cottage? Why is there the craze on cottages too?
Well, I think like you hit it, like you said, Corona, COVID, all that stuff, has obviously driven people to look for vacation homes, can't leave the city, don't have a vaccine, can't travel. So it's made it more appealing. I think before that, though, the story starts with, just generational wealth transfer. There's a lot of people who own cottages for many years who are now on their last leg or whatever it may be. And, to take over a cottage from a family member, there are tax implications. So we saw in the last 5 years to a decade, a lot of these families were actually giving up the cottages for sale. So it's already been bubbling a bit, but obviously there's more interest around it now when you're trapped inside your own country. So traditionally you need at least 35% to buy a cottage. There are programs out there though, where you can purchase for as little as 10%. But there's certain restrictions on what needs to be in the property, accessibility, marketability of property, and there has to be certain features in the home, such as there has to be a kitchen, a common area, all that stuff. But you can purchase with you can purchase with 10%, all the way up to 35. It just depends if the property meets the lender's guidelines. But traditionally, you need 35%.
Okay. So traditionally, you're going to need 35%. So you need more money to put down on it. But you can go as low as, what did you say?
10%.
10%. Okay.
But there's a cap on the amount of money they'll lend you. So
that's right. And our government has this, what did you say? Lockdown,
pandemic,
captive,
whatever you want to call it.
Prisoner.
Pretty close.
Well, look, you know what? Here's the reality. Because people can't. They can't travel out of the country as freely as they would have normally. And even if they could, we're a lot more concerned about doing it. That's a reality. Even if everyone in this country, if there were no cases in Canada, you're still concerned about the cases in all the other parts of the world. Unless, of course, you don't believe that COVID is real at all, but that's a whole different discussion. So as a result, hey, people are looking to stay within the country, but can we travel around? And so because they can't go to the normal vacation spots, cottages are thriving. You are seeing an insane amount of demand for cottages. And so, okay, great. You can go about the traditional way. I'm just going to throw out the if you got friends way. Hey, pitch in with friends and start sharing the time now, or family. Now, of course, you always want to look at that one and consider who you're getting into it with. But there's a ton of ways to be able to get friends and family together. Everyone puts in a little bit of money and then goes in and acquires a property, and it's not nearly the same expense because everyone gets to share in that.
Of course. wanted to touch in on the business side of it. Now, as
Okay.
most of you may know, I'm a frequenter. I rent quite a few cottages over the summer. It's one thing I do. I never leave the country in the summer. I think Ontario is a beautiful place. Canada is a beautiful place. So I try to stay within our borders. This is pre-pandemic, Jason. One of the challenges we face is that by January, all the good ones are booked up,
Mm.
and it's not cheap. You know, um, you got like a 1.72 million dollar condo easily rents out for 1,300 a night, and that's before your cleaning fees, your admin fees, and all that. So it's quite expensive. Now that being said, these places house about 10 people, so a $3,000 or $4,000 weekend total is only going to cost you $400 a person. Now, knowing that these places book up in January for the year and how much it's costing, there's some money to be made here. And what I've been seeing is a lot of my investor clients are approaching me and saying, hey, I just want to buy one and rent it out. And hey, if there's any time left over, sure, I'll stay there.
Mhm.
And we've been running the numbers. And at 80% occupancy, these things cash flow. And it's a different way of looking at things. And again, these are pre-pandemic numbers. Obviously, the pandemic has in some sectors boosted it. In other areas like Blue Mountain, they've fallen. The ones that are year round where, hey, we're in lockdown in the winter, but it seems like we're a little bit more free in the summer. Those ones have taken a bit of a hit, but the ones that are riding well in the summer, they're extremely profitable. And what we noticed, I know Marlon Yee, Marlon posted this a couple of days ago about the cottage wars. A lot of people running towards it. It's really pushed the prices up. Something that would have costed you probably 900,000 last year is now going for 1.5. A little piece of the lake is quite expensive. So going back to those family owned cottages that may not be being used as much, great time to cash in. Extremely good time to cash in. I do think it's a bit inflated. That being said, I think if these guys are renting them out and there's cash flow there, who cares?
Yeah, absolutely.
The cash flow is high. The other thing too, my brother, if he's watching it, he can see this. He's doing this right now. He rented a cottage for a week. He's working from home, working for his company, and he's there enjoying a completely beautiful view, getting his work done. And this is what he's doing. And the cost is effective.
Yeah.
So you've got the people that are going there for vacations. You've got people doing staycations, with the whole work from home thing. And more companies are doing permanent work from home. And like me right now, I'm in my kitchen. I'd much rather be at a cottage doing this. I was doing that last week. So I think we're going to start seeing this more and more with the demand is starting to go up even further. So great opportunity there, guys. Extremely good opportunity.
Well, I can tell you that this is actually something that we are actively looking into, not as much from the standpoint of being able to work from the cottage, which is definitely a huge plus. I'll tell you, we're actually looking at it from a different perspective. When you're acquiring multi-unit dwellings across the country, if you start acquiring cottages across the country as well, you now get the opportunity. Hey, if you've got a cottage all across, you can actually go stay at it in those off times while you're crossing and doing business, right? Creating your own spots, your own little havens across the country where you can visit, and you're not only doing business, visiting your properties, checking on your property managers, all of that kind of stuff, but you're also, taking and being able to enjoy again another property that you're making money off of.
Mm-hmm. And speak on that, yeah, and that's what I said. That's why I mentioned the 80% it cash flows, which means 20% of the time that's your time.
Yeah,
like here, me, Dum Dum over here is forking up a couple $1,000s a summer just to stay at a cottage, And a smart person like Neil D'Souza is acquiring the cottage, getting someone else to cover the expenses, and then staying there for free. Probably making enough cash flow to cover his expense to get there, and his food, and the s'mores, and like everything you could think about. Like it's all taken care of. So don't be a dumb like me. Don't be spending money, man. Get them to pay.
Well, look, okay, here, let's just break this down. Okay, if you get a cottage, you're able to acquire a cottage, and then you're Airbnb-ing it, right? You're having you've got it on Airbnb, you've got people renting it, you've got it set up for someone to come in and clean it up in between. You're not doing any of that work, right? Literally all you're doing is you're setting it and forget it. You have to set it up as an automation and let it do its work. Now while it's paying for that, most people realize that you never use a cottage. Most people never use a cottage to the amount that it's really worth. You know, you're able to go there for a couple of weeks here. You might go for a month. You know, you're going for a time. And then the vast majority of the time, it sits vacant if you're just buying it recreationally, right? Whereas you take this opportunity to Airbnb it, and it's cash flowing massively, right? Massively, because we have this demand. Maybe, you know what? Maybe that changes in 5 years. Maybe that changes in 10 years where people they're back out and they're traveling everywhere else. No one wants to stay in Canada for vacations anymore. They want to, well, okay, great. I guarantee you are, and we're not giving any financial advice, but we're guaranteeing you that you're going to make a ton of money between now and then. And you still have the cottage to use. And so as far as investments go, most of the time you never get an opportunity to really enjoy it. You're not going to go stay in one of your apartments.
No.
If you got an apartment building, okay. But if you have a cottage, man, not only do you get to make that money, but you get to stay there as well, right? So it just has a lot of appeal. It's like you know, a friend of mine, we were talking about, he brought me the idea of buying hotels. Hey, let's buy hotels. And then everyone that's into the hotel, that is part of that investment, hey, you get to stay at your own hotel. And so there's a lot of prestige with that. And I was like, I love the idea. Love being able to walk around and know I own this hotel, or I own a piece of the hotel. How about that? But with COVID, I was like, I'm not getting into hotels. So
no, and that's the thing. Hotels used to be a prestigious thing, and now we look at them like, why would you buy that? Like
I don't know, man.
Unless you got to deal with the government of Canada, where you could charge $2,000 a freaking night.
Well, it's just, I don't know, guys, because I was at a hotel on the weekend, and I can tell you there was a lot of.
Oh my goodness, Marlon was at a hotel. Tell us.
No social distancing, eh?
I got the antigens. It's okay. So, you know, like Neil hit it on the head. I think, you know, like obviously as an investor, you're looking at a condo downtown. You're looking at a cottage. You know, rent demand is low for condos. Rent demand's high for cottages, right? Obviously, better investment. Get to stay there, all that stuff. So yeah, cottages have mass appeal right now. Hotels, I don't know. I think there's a lot of people who can't afford the cottages who are going to hotels on the weekends to own little parties there. I think that's
I agree. Now, the only thing I'm saying is that the numbers for the cottages were good for pre-pandemic.
I see. Okay.
Just remember that.
Yeah.
Like anyone who's is a frequent goer knows you got to book in January, maybe February, and then whatever's left over is the overpriced stuff that the average person just can't afford. So it's more about that predictability. And the other thing too is that you can buy these cottages with a regular mortgage. Marlon, you can attest to this. A hotel, that's a commercial mortgage. The average Joe can't pull $200,000 out of their house and buy a freaking hotel. Like, come on, let's be real here, guys. Like, come on, what are we talking about?
Well, if you have friends like Neil, you could always, do a little JV, right? So
there's only one Neil D'Souza. There's only one.
That's right, Neil Diamond.
And I'll be Neil D'Souza.
But here's the thing. For people that are trying to start out in that game, I can tell you, you can start out as simply, and you can get a group of people together and do this. Everyone thinks that you have to go out. If you're going to try an Airbnb and enjoy that, you've got to go acquire these properties. there's a lot of opportunity out there to lease a property and then Airbnb it. There are lots of opportunities to be able to. You, Someone else may own the property. You come
Mhm.
in there and basic arbitrage. You go in there. You offer them a hey, for my corporation, we're setting up this program, and we want to be able to have corporate retreats, and so we'll pay you X amount,
Yeah.
and they allow you to lease out their cottage for this extended period of time. Now you're going to turn around and you're going to Airbnb it, right?
Mhm.
Now, are you going to be able to just look up, I don't know, and look up Facebook Marketplace and find these properties? No, you're going to have to do some work. But
Oh
guess
yeah.
what? You get to be Airbnb a property, making the profits on that without having to own it. And then after a while, maybe you and your friends can get together and start acquiring your own
So I
property.
think
Is
a
that
little bit
allowed,
of
Jason?
advice to anybody who's thinking to do that. Be transparent with the landlords.
Yes.
I'm a part of a lot of landlord groups. This is a big issue that a lot of them are facing with condos downtown. They will sign a lease acting like they're going to move in. The landlord vets them as if they're going to live there. The landlord puts a clause in there that they're not allowed to sublet, and Airbnb it would be considered subletting. So you
That's
could
right.
open yourself up to some legalities. That being said, I've represented a landlord. This was going back 4 years ago near UFT Scarborough. And one guy said, I want to rent the entire house. And he was transparent. He says, I'm going to rent the rooms out to other people. And I said, cool. As long as the money is paid at the month, we really don't care how you do it. We don't want to manage it though. As long as we have the proper documentation, if anything goes wrong with them, it's on you. It's not on us. And there is a right way to do this. So all I say is be transparent with the landlords. And yeah, it is a very good way when you don't have the capital to acquire a property, how you can still take advantage of things like Airbnb or subletting out stuff.
Yeah. Well, here's the difference. There's a subtle difference when it comes to Airbnb. And anyone that knows the Airbnb culture knows that people are trying to take care of the property that they're renting out
Mm-hmm.
because they want to make sure they have, not only do you give a good rating for the person that you're renting from or Airbnb
Mm-hmm.
from, but you want to make sure that they give you a good review as well for your next one. And on top of that, you've got what's that thing called that you put down? A
Security deposit.
deposit.
Yep.
A damage deposit. So literally, people that are Airbnb, it's a different culture. They're
It is.
taking care of the property because they want to be able to come back. And so you have a high quality customer coming in, paying a premium, coming in and then leaving the place usually in better condition than when they found it.
Yeah. And the thing is, people don't realize, like, yes, you got a property manager for these places, but you charge it. Like you go to book
Yeah.
an Airbnb, it says, yeah, $1,000 a night. When you're done, it's like 13, 14 because they have little fees. You're paying for their property manager every single time you go there. You're paying the cleaning fee and you're paying a damage
Yeah.
deposit that they don't release to you until a week after they moved out when they've checked to make sure everything is good.
Yeah.
So,
But let's just look at this. Okay, if you're paying that kind of money,
mhm,
you're not and you're saving yourself tens of thousands of dollars if you
mhm,
went and bought your own property,
yeah,
right? That's the reality. For the people that are renting these, in a lot of cases, if you were to own the property, you could only go visit the one property.
yeah,
And people like the variety of being able to go to different places. Plus, you don't have to worry about any of the maintenance, any of that kind of stuff. And that's what people are paying for. They're paying a premium to be able to have that flexibility, not have any of those headaches, right? And so that's your opportunity to be able to come in there and be able to Airbnb it out. And now, again, what I was saying there about getting leases and that's if you're looking to get a start. There's you don't always have to have the money to get started.
yeah. And that's just it. Now, another thing that we didn't touch on, but I do think it's important. If
Well, you got 30 seconds on that.
I got 30 seconds
what
to
are you
do it.
doing?
So I just want to quick, guys, if you're acquiring a property or signing a lease and your intent is to Airbnb, make sure you look at local bylaws. It is becoming a growing trend where local bylaws are changing it so that you cannot do short-term rentals on certain waterfront properties. So that's something you want to look into. Your realtor should be able to figure that out for you guys. It's a very easy information to get a hold of, but you want to make sure the last thing you want to do is sign a 1-year lease or buy a $2 million property and find out you can't even rent it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, without a doubt. All right, 30 seconds. Marlon, what's your last parting thoughts as we go back to vacation, go back to our couches, and go back to our Coronas?
I didn't get my 2 for yet, so I got some catching up to do with Jason. But I would just caution anybody that's out there shopping now before June 1st. Unfortunately, it's not been very clear as to whether lenders will be honoring any offers coming in from that Friday announcement of June 1st. So, just get it done if you need to get it done, but we can't guarantee that you will be grandfathered in. Unfortunately, there's no clarity on that yet from any of the lenders.
Right.
So
right.
Proceed with caution.
So, guys, speak to a trusted professional. Both Marlon and I happen to be mortgage agents, so you feel free to reach out to us if you want to find out about your financing, how the stress test is going to affect you, and make sure you reach out to Jason Vaz if you are looking to buy. He can definitely help you round that one out, find the right property for you. And how is that for a shout out and a little plug in at the end there?
I love it. I love it. I love
it. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks a lot. Enjoy your long weekend. Magic Monday.
Take care. Yeah.